What was your reaction when you saw the movie?
Well, I didn't know what to expect from the movie, and I was so pleasantly surprised by the storyline and the fact that it was based on a true story as far as the miners. That was what I was impressed by. But the thing that really got to me, and got to me emotionally, was at the end when Billy comes on and dances as an adult at Covent Garden Opera House, obviously, and his father is in the balcony watching him come on and do Swan Lake. Billy never, had to struggle to get his dad's approval in the film, because being a ballet dancer in that kind of mining community, when all that was going on, was ridiculous in a way. I mean, and my dad never really approved of what I did. I mean, I grew up in the 50s, Katie, and rock and roll happened. And rock and roll in the 1950s, when it did happen, was considered really vulgar. And anyone who did it was considered, well, they're no good. It's, I was brought up on Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, all those kind of people. So, and when I started to get involved, and I saw Elvis Presley and heard him, and then I heard Little Richard and Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis, the great piano players, that's what I wanted to do. And my father never really wanted me to do that. He wanted me to get a proper job. Times were different there. It was a very conservative time.
He wanted you to work at a bank,
or join the Air Force like he did, have some security, not do this airy kind of fairy thing of rock and roll. And my mother's got letters, from him saying, you've got to put some sense into his head. He's going to end up like, it's going to be a no good situation. And when I did become, really successful, he never ever came and saw me. So I never had that moment of approval. When Billy comes on at Covent Garden and sees his father's there, and he's so proud of him. Because obviously Billy's father in the story, towards the end of the story, says, okay, we've got to send you down to London, you've got to go to ballet school.
But that wasn't easy to get to that point,
yeah,
right?
And so it hit home with me emotionally, because I think every child wants their father's approval, every son anyway. And I did reconcile with my dad later on, and he did come and see me, and I did take him to football games and soccer games, rather. And that was fine, but at that particular moment, it would have been great to have had that. Look, I proved you wrong. I've become so successful, and I didn't have that. So it really got to me.
You, after seeing the movie, I know you approached the director and said, "I think this would make a great musical."
Actually, it was my partner, David Furnish, after the after party, when the after party was going on. He said, this would make a great musical. And I thought the music in the film was terrific. It was all T-Rex, Mark Bolan music, and it fitted the film very, very well. But having thought about the characters in the movie, and what you could do with them if it was on stage, and I think you can make it more even of a human story on stage, and that's what we've done. We've made the miners much more prominent, and made their story more prominent. It's quite a political musical in a way. It's about the miners just as much as it is about Billy. It's about both of them equally. And people said, yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
How did you write all the music, Elton, in 2 weeks' time?
I'm a fast writer. I've always written quickly. I've always had the luxury of having a writer. My partner, Bernie Taubin, I've been writing for 40 years. It's always been lyrics first. So when you get a lyric and you look at it, it's like listening to a mini play on the radio. Your imagination starts to kick in and think, well, this is going to be fast, slow. And with the musical, you have the advantage of knowing that you're writing for a character. I mean, Grandma's song is not going to be a knees up. It's not going to be a fast song. It's a romantic song. It's a kind of sad song about her ex-husband who treated her badly, but she loved him.
And a funny song, by the way.
It's a very funny song. And then the Dead Mother song, the letter song, it's got to be sad. So it's quite easy, I think, for me anyway, because once I start, it all seems to pour out. I write 3 or 4 songs a day.
Wow.
And I've always done that. I've been like, I don't write every day of the week. I write in binges, really. I write maybe once or twice a year. And then I look forward to it, and I go in the studio, and I don't know why it works, and I've never questioned it, but it seems to work, and I really enjoy that process of writing to someone's words.
It's really like writing to poetry.
It is, exactly.
And did you find it almost easier this time because it was so personal and because a lot of your own feelings were pouring into it?
Yeah, I think of all the musicals that I've done, Lion King obviously was very easy because most of the music was written already. All Tim and I had to do was write a couple of new songs. Aida was my first full musical. Lestat was really a fantastic score for me to write. But this one, because I was so close and had been involved by watching the film it inspired me really to write the musical. So it wasn't like someone coming to me with a project. I was there at ground zero when it started. And so yes, it was very, very easy for me to write this, and I wanted to prove a point that I could make what was already a fantastic movie into a better musical, even better on stage.
You must have been thrilled at how well received the show was in London. I mean, it was huge, right?
It was huge. It got incredible reviews across the board. The boys won Olivier Awards, the youngest people ever to win an Olivier Award. They each won one for acting. Yes, it's always great to be part of a winning team. I mean, the things I love about writing musicals is that you're part of a team. And I've been a part of a team with Bernie Taupin for 40 years. I like teamwork. But this one was such a gargantuan task, and I know the effort and the hours put in, and the actual logistics of getting this to work was so, people said they'll never do it, they'll never do it, they'll never do it inside the business, they'll never pull this off. And we did pull it off, and it came out exactly how we wanted. It's not schmaltzy, it's very, very hard-hitting, it's very sad. It's, in a way, it's an example of art, something beautiful coming through out of something so tragic, which, when something bad happens in the world, something good usually comes out of it. And this whole thing that happens to the miners is so sad. They go down into the pit for the last time when the last song is sung, and I get emotional when that happens because their life is gone. I mean, their future is uncertain. The whole history of what they're doing is being completely taken away from them. And then this little boy, like a butterfly, goes down to London, and something beautiful comes out of their willingness to see his talent. And within us, there's always something artistic. We don't have to be brilliant at it, but there is, and it's like, if you have art, it can ease the pain of any terrible situation.